Okay, in this video we are going to cover making suet. So I just got done breaking down some brisket for the rail. So this is all of our beef trimmings. I have some beef that's already rendered out, and we're going to make suet for some birds. So I got some bird seed here, that's some black sunflower seeds. This is some cracked corn. I have some peanuts here, and I have some chopped up frozen cranberries from last week's pancake special. So we're going to combine all of these with some beef fat and make some tallow. Alright. So this is my beef fat. It's just melting down in this pot here. Once it's all melted, I'm going to mix it in a bowl with the birdseed, the nuts, fruit. You also need some kind of grain just to help absorb, so I've got some oats right here. I've also done this with flour when I didn't have oats before. I'd imagine you can use breadcrumbs, any grain that is cooked, I'm sure would work just fine. But I've only ever used oats or flour or a combination of the two. Alright, pause for now while we wait for that beef fat to render, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Our beef fat is mostly rendered. You can see there's still a couple chunks in there, but this is more than the amount that we need. So I'm going to pour some into the mixing bowl here. Maybe about 2.5 cups worth, looks like. I'll go a little more. I'll call it an even 3 cups. Now, one mistake I've made doing this in the past is trying to make too much at once in a larger mold. So here I have a standard 6-pan. It's about 2 inches tall, and then maybe, I don't know, 6 by 5. I'm going to make one little block here. I haven't done this in quite a while, not since last winter. So we're just going to make one little guy here. And this birdseed I got at Agway. Shout out to Agway. I usually go for the Birdwatcher's General Store, but I just moved, so that's a bit farther away for me now. I'm going to add in peanuts here. Probably don't need all of them. Go for about half. Stash those on the side. Take 1 scoop of the corn. Sprinkle that in there. I'm going to go for a smaller scoop of the sunflower. Usually, sorry about that, the battery died. Hopefully the jump isn't too bad. So I put the sunflower seeds in there, not sure if you got to see that. I didn't put in too many of those. Usually I try to put only stuff that's chopped in here. I'm not an expert on birds and their eating. I don't know if they can get the full seeds out of there or not. Now here's some cranberries. I often do dried cranberries, but I didn't have any of those kicking around at the moment. And these were just going bad in the fridge. So those are, again, some frozen chopped cranberries that we were putting in pancakes last weekend at the rail. So let's give that a stir. So you can see it's quite wet now. And we want to put something in that'll just absorb extra moisture and add some starch in, which will kind of help hold it all together. So that's where the oats come in. I'm just going to sprinkle some in there, give it a stir, see how it looks. Still looks a little bit wet, so I'm going to add in some more. But bear in mind that when the fat cools, it is going to hold it all together. Now, if you were doing this in the summer, I bet you'd need some flour and stuff to hold together. We'll see how crumbly this is on the back end, but we should be out of the hot days in my climate. First frost is next week, I think. 2 weeks. Although we already had one frost about a week ago, which was really early. That was a solid 4 weeks before our average first frost. But usually Halloween is average first frost. On the Cape, if you're located here. Okay, so now that feels a little bit drier. There is some excess fat down at the bottom, if you can see that pooling, but that's okay. We'll see how it comes out. Maybe it ought to be a little bit drier. Like I said, I'm not an expert and I haven't done this since last winter. So now I'm just going to take a little piece of parchment paper here. Put that down on the bottom. That's gonna make it a lot easier to take it out. Think about like when you're like making a cake or something. Putting paper in at the bottom so you can rip it out later. And then I'm just gonna put some in there. Level it out. Hopefully that'll hold the side up there. Now, I need this to fit inside my suet holder, so I don't want to make it too tall. Matter of fact, I'm going to take some out. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. Oh, the birds are excited. Can you hear them? Okay, I'm going to take another piece of paper, put it over the top, and then I have another 6-bean here. That's what I put the peanuts in earlier, so dump those back in here. And I'm going to take this and I want to press down pretty hard because you want to make it nice and flat. You want to make sure that there aren't any air bubbles, or else when it freezes, it won't all be stuck together. If you have an air bubble in there, that's going to make it more likely to crumble and stuff. So, and you want to make sure that you can slip it right in to your suet holder without it making a mess. In the past, I've tried to do this in like huge batches and then cut it up into little pieces, but I didn't press it well and it was too moist and it just made a big mess. So, smaller molds, better. And you can buy these on Amazon. I haven't bought any. I just use what I have kicking around. But you can buy suet molds that are a certain dimension. And I'd imagine that will help with the height because they're only about an inch wide. That 6-pan is 2 inches tall, so if I fill it up, it's not going to fit in there, and I'm going to have to slice it in half, which is going to make a mess. So now that this is in here, you just keep it pressed, and then I'm going to pop it in the fridge for who knows how long, whenever I come back to see it. And I'll show you the final product in a different cut. So alright, thanks. Okay, we're back with a different camera angle about a day and a half later. Tyler's suet. I put the extra just in a larger 6-pan on top, and I was weighing it down a little bit, and then I wrapped it up tight, so there should have been some tension from the wrap as well. But let's see. It's pretty stuck in there. So that probably means some of the fat is on the top as well. There we go. Well, it definitely feels compressed enough. So that's that top layer of paper. The frozen cranberries gave it a cool pink color. Let's see if we can get that out. That's actually going to be pretty tough to get out. I don't want to rip the paper. So what I'm going to do is just gently melt it over the stove for just a second, and then we'll come right back. Okay, so we melted it on the stove. Now it's a little hot on the bottom. I'm going to just try to flip it right over here onto this plastic wrap that I pulled out over the board. Here we go. Okay. Paper off. I can smell the peanuts. Okay, so given how well it's stuck to the bottom, I'd say it probably won't have any trouble staying frozen in the suet container. Got a windy here. So there we go. There's our suet. Rip this plastic wrap off, roll it up nice and tight, and then we're going to bring it home and put it in our suet heater. So that will be part 3. Alright, here we go. Okay, so we have our suet. It's been a few days since the last part of this video. Haven't been home in the daylight lately. There's some peanuts, squirrels like this. So this is our suet block. It's been in the fridge for, I think, 4 days. This is Sawyer. Say hi.
Hi.
And we're gonna go put it in that bird feeder way over there.
That to the video.
Okay, we're gonna put this thing in here, but it's kind of greasy and I only got one hand, so we're gonna do our best. Two hands.
Silly Daddy.
Alright, still got a little bit of paper on it, but that shouldn't be a problem. And looks like we might have to snap off a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of greasy though, because it's made out of fat. Yeah.
Why is fat in there?
That's what suet's made out of.
Can I slice it?
This is why you should get the mold, because this is a little bit too big, but I'm pretty much just going to squish it in there, and we'll let some of the excess fall off. It's a little high up for you, bud. I'm just going to smush it.
Hey, Daddy, if you do that, then
There we go. Alright, now we got suet in there. We
Daddy,
got some stuff on the ground that more birds can peck at.
do it on the ground.
We got to fill up a regular bird feeder,
Yes.
and we'll see if some birdies come. Alright, there you have it. Suet.